Hey guys, this is Shubham. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about poliomyelitis, which is caused by the polio virus. So let's look over the structure of the polio virus first of all. So this is the structure of polio virus in front of you, in which you can see that this is the glycoprotein. So it is surrounded by a glycoprotein, right? Special kind of protein. Many kind of viruses are surrounded by the polio virus, surrounded by the glycoprotein actually, and it is actually protected by its viral capsid, which you can see on the screen, right? Viral capsid, and it is having a membrane, right? Here this is the membrane of this virus, and here it is having its shell. Okay, so this was the membrane and it is having its own shell. Okay, and this one inside it is the positive sense single stranded RNA. So what structure is it having? It is having the glycoprotein, it is having the layer, it is actually having the membrane surrounding it and having the shell. Okay, and lastly, as a genetic material, that is the RNA, and this RNA is actually positive sense single stranded RNA, right? Ribonucleic acid. So it is a positive sense single stranded. And one more thing, this is non-enveloped. Okay, so this one is non-enveloped virus. Okay, so this one is non-enveloped virus. Earlier we have studied about the enveloped viruses also, but this polio virus, which is causing the poliomyelitis, actually it is actually the non-enveloped virus. Okay, so please remember that. Fine. Okay, so this is the structure. So let me summarize for you what I have just said. So poliomyelitis is actually caused by the polio virus, poliomyelitis, right? So it is actually non-enveloped, as I said, it is actually non-enveloped single stranded positive sense RNA virus. Okay, now it is a picornavirus and enterovirus. Okay, it's a picornavirus and enterovirus. If you talk about the route of transmission, okay, so it is transmitted by fecal oral route. Then it has been eradicated already globally, but in most of the developing countries still these countries are suffering from the polio virus. Okay, because of this, because of the prevention vaccine, we are having the vaccines. I will be talking about that in prevention part. But due to those vaccines, okay, oral and inactive polio vaccine, due to them the world already has been eradicated from the polio virus, fortunately. Okay, but unfortunately for some of the countries, for some of the developing countries, they are actually having this polio virus even nowadays. Okay, so it can be transmitted through the fecal oral route. Okay, and if you talk about the pathogenesis, okay, so how it will be entering inside our body, and which organs will be involved in this polio virus, and how is it causing actually the poliomyelitis. Okay, because look, polio is the virus, myelitis, itis means inflammation, and myelo means actually the you can say the bone marrow or the spinal cord, right? Fine, so let's talk about that. So what happens is, as I show you this viral structure, okay, it will be entering inside our body, as I said, with the help of fecal oral route. So it may be entering inside your body with the contaminated food, for an example, right? Once it will be making its entry inside your body, okay, now what it will be doing, it will be actually invading two parts. One is oropharynx and one is your mesentery, which is present in your intestine, right? So I'm going to talk about these things. Okay, so let's say I'm talking about the oropharynx for an example. Same thing will be happening in the intestines also, okay, or in the mesentery also. So this is the this is one of the cell of the oropharynx. Okay, and let's say this is the virus. Okay, this is the virus over here. So this is the polio virus over here. Now what will be happening, this polio virus will be making its entry inside this cell. Okay, but before that, let me tell you, it is having the receptor. Okay, So what will be happening, it is having the receptor on its wall, and this receptor, okay, I'm talking about, this is the CD155 receptor. Okay, this is the CD155 receptor, CD155. Okay, so this is a CD155 receptor, and this virus will be binding over it. As this virus will be binding over this receptor, it will be facilitating its entry inside the oropharynx. Okay, so this structure, let's say I'm talking about the oropharynx over here. I'm talking about the oropharynx, let's say. Same thing will be happening in the mesentery also. So once it will be making its entry inside this oropharynx, okay, what it will be doing, it will be replicating itself. So with the help of RNA polymerase, okay, it is having RNA, right, positive single stranded RNA. Okay, so with the help of RNA polymerase, it will be converting itself, right, and then this virus will be actually invading other kinds of oropharynx also, its adjacent oropharynx epithelium, right, and then what will be happening, it will be affecting the ribosome, which is the protein factory inside this cell. Okay, so it will be affecting mainly the ribosomes, and with the help of those proteins, they will be making these proteins actually faulty. With the help of this virus, they will be actually stimulating these ribosomes to make more and more faulty proteins, and due to those faulty proteins, all the oropharynx will be having the faulty protein, right, and due to that, what will be happening, these oropharynx will be having in a big problem, right. Now let's say this virus, with the help of these faulty proteins, they will be actually invading into, finally they will be invading into the lymph nodes. From the lymph node, they will be making their way into the blood circulation, and from the blood circulation, it will be entering inside your brain with the help of blood brain barrier. It will be penetrating the blood brain barrier, and then finally they will be making their way into the brain. From the brain, they will be making their way into the anterior horns of spinal cord. Okay, and finally what they will be doing, they will be actually causing the lower motor neuron cell death. Okay, so they will be destroying actually the lower motor neuron. Okay, so this is the story of the polio virus. How is it causing the poliomyelitis? Okay, and that's how we are saying that this is the situation, and that's how it is causing the poliomyelitis, isn't it? Okay, so that's how it is causing the poliomyelitis actually. Okay, so once again I'm repeating what is actually happening. Poliovirus, it will be attaching to the CD155 receptor on the oropharynx. Okay, and then what will be happening, they will be making their own factories, right. They will be actually stimulating the ribosomes to make more and more faulty proteins, and due to that, they will be making their way into the lymph nodes. Okay, so let's say here on the other side, we are having one more okay, this was the oropharynx, and now this is the mesentery. This is the mesentery over here. Okay, which means I'm talking about the small intestine, right. Same thing will be happening over here as well. So what will be happening, for an example, again, this was the poliovirus, right. This was the poliovirus. They will be making their way onto the mesentery as well. Okay, so here also we are having the CD155 receptor, and with the help of it, this virus will be actually attaching to it. It will be facilitating its way into the mesentery also now. Okay, now what will be happening, they will be actually making this positive sense RNA. They will be actually making the faulty proteins, right. With the help of RNA polymerase, it will be converting itself, and then finally they will be actually going into the lymph node, and from the lymph node, it will be coming into the blood circulation. From the blood circulation, it will be able to penetrate the blood brain barrier with the help of blood circulation, of course, and then it will be entering into the brain, and then finally they will be facilitating their way into the anterior horn of the spinal cord, okay, which is the ventral horn of the spinal cord. Okay, so sensory part is actually intact, only the motor part will be disturbed over here. Okay, I hope you know this information from the physiology, that sensory information is actually going from your periphery to the central nervous system with the help of ascending tract taking that information till the dorsal root of spinal cord, and that is actually sensory. But right now I'm talking about the anterior horn of the spinal cord, okay, which is actually the ventral one. Okay, so it is affecting the motor neurons. Okay, that's why I said that they are actually affecting or destroying lower motor neurons. Fine. Now we will be understanding the same thing, so I would like to summarize actually again, because this is important. That's how it is causing the poliomyelitis. So I'm actually summarizing what I just said with the help of a diagram. So let's look over this diagram. So what I just said, with the help of elementary, with the help of oropharynx and the mesentery, this is the small intestine. Okay, so this is the oropharynx, this is the small intestine. Virus will be making their entry over it. Okay, some of the so what will be happening, some of the virus from the oropharynx, they will be making its way. So this is the oropharynx, this is the virus. Okay, they will be facilitating their way into the cervical lymph nodes. So this is the lymphatic phase. Fine. And from the small intestine, they will be making their way into the mesenteric lymph nodes, and from there they will be entering inside the blood circulation. So this is the viremic phase now. Viremia means virus inside the blood. Okay, for example, bacteremia is bacteria inside the blood. There is the viremia, the viremic phase, virus inside the blood. So with the help of blood circulation, they will be entering into the brain, because heart will be circulating its blood into the several organs, right? So finally they will be going toward the heart, and heart will be actually contracting. By the help of the contracting of the ventricles, they will be actually supplying the blood to the several organs, and one of the organs which will be affected over here, that is the brain. Okay, so then finally it will be the neural phase over here. Okay, so they will be penetrating the blood brain barrier, which is the BBB. Okay, and then these are the dorsal horns. Okay, these are the dorsal horns, okay, which is the shown over here, and this is the ventral horn. It is affecting what? It is affecting ventral. Okay, so this poliovirus is affecting the ventral horns, okay, which is the motor neurons. Fine, which is the motor neuron. Okay, so over here this is the pathogenesis with the help of diagram which I tried to show you. So that's how this poliovirus is causing the poliomyelitis. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Fine, so that was about the pathophysiology part. Okay, now we will be moving over to the prevention part, so how it can be prevented. Okay, however, I have talked about that, but still let me talk about the prevention part over here with the help of vaccine. Which vaccines I am talking about? Okay, so let's see about the prevention part. So we are using the vaccines over here. Obviously, which vaccines I'm talking about? These are the two vaccines. One is OPV, which is the live attenuated oral polio vaccine. Okay, so this is the OPV in short. Okay, so this is the live attenuated oral polio vaccine, and other one is the inactivated polio vaccine. Inactivated polio vaccine. Fine, so which is abbreviated as IPV. Okay, so this live attenuated vaccine, it was actually developed by Sabin. Okay, so it was actually developed by Sabin, and this inactivated polio vaccine, it was actually developed by Jonas Salk. Okay, in some of the cases, very few, actually rarely, 1 in a million cases, live attenuated oral polio vaccine, okay, that may be associated with the vaccine associated paralytic poliomyelitis, but very rarely. Okay, so in simple words, I can say that this OPV which I wrote, this OPV actually might cause, rarely might cause, 1 in a million cases, it can cause the paralytic poliomyelitis, okay, due to the mutation in its structure. Okay, so but that is actually rarely, so benefits actually outweighing the risk, so that's why we are using that. But if you want to choose between these, obviously I will choose inactivated polio vaccine. Okay, so nowadays we are using the inactivated polio vaccine for the prevention part. Fine. Okay, most usually if you talk about the which age group is affected, less than 5 years of age, usually children's pediatric age group is affected from the polio virus. Fine. Okay, now let's talk about the presentation part. Okay, so if you talk about the presentation, so let's talk about the symptoms and all. Fine. So if you talk about the presentation part, let me talk about the symptoms. Symptoms can be like meningitis and all. Okay, for an example, you can say meningitis, and that is the aseptic meningitis in most of the cases. If you talk about the poliomyelitis, we talk about the poliovirus. Okay, so I'm writing over here meningitis, and you know the symptoms of meningitis. Okay, so that can be seen in these patients. What are the symptoms? Headache, vomiting, and stiff neck, right? So nuchal rigidity. Okay, so these are the meningitis symptoms. I'm not writing those as I've mentioned them verbally. Okay, then it can cause myalgias, as any other virus can cause. Okay, then in the physical examination, now that is important. In the physical examination, what you will be seeing now? So that was about the presentation part, symptoms, and now I'm talking about the physical examination. Okay, so look carefully. In the physical examination, what we will be seeing now, systemic signs of infection can be seen, for example fever and malaise, but that can be seen in any other also. Okay, so that will not be giving you the help in understanding that this patient is suffering from polio virus. However, it is very simple. Look, asymmetric weakness will be seeing in the extremity region and mostly in the legs. Okay, so you can see them, you can understand the situation very well. But if you talk about a physical examination, over here mainly I said lower motor neuron lesion, because it was affecting the ventral part, it was affecting the anterior horn of spinal cord, right? So lower motor neuron lesions will be seen. Okay, what are the lower motor neuron lesions now? They will be, for an example, there can be asymmetric weakness. So read carefully, listen carefully. Asymmetric weakness I am saying, not symmetric, which means one leg. Okay, mostly it is affecting the extremities, and if you talk about the extremities, we are having upper and lower, so mostly it is affecting the lower extremity, which are the legs actually. Okay, so asymmetric, either left or either right. Okay, any of the leg can be involved, so asymmetric weakness can be seen. Asymmetric hypotonia will be seen. Right, reflexes will be weakened up. So I can say that decrease or absent reflexes. Right, what else? I said paralysis, so it is the flaccid paralysis in the extremities, and mostly which extremity is lower one, so it will be seen mostly in the legs. Okay, as compared to arm. Okay, so mostly it will be seen in the legs region. Fine, so that is important, which you need to remember over here. Okay, other than that, there can be atrophy of the muscles and all these things. Okay, so these are the main ones, signs which you can understand from. Okay, and this will be enough to make a diagnosis for the poliovirus. Right, so this is the presentation part of the polioviruses. Okay, now let me talk about the diagnosis part, like say studies. Okay, like lab part. So if you talk about the studies, or I can say like diagnosis part. However, it is very easy to understand if the patient is having the poliovirus or poliomyelitis, but still let me mention it over here. In the labs you will be taking the, because as I said that aseptic meningitis, right? Aseptic meningitis can be there, so for that part you can go for the lumbar puncture, right? And then you will be collecting what? CSF, lumbar puncture, and then you will be collecting the CSF of the patient. And in the CSF, what you will be seeing? In the CSF you will be seeing that there will be the increase in the WBCs. Okay, now as it is virus, because I'm talking about the poliovirus, proteins will be elevated in the CSF. Okay, and viral RNA will be present. That is the poliovirus, right? So poliovirus will be present over here. Okay, right. So presence of the viral RNA. Fine. So this is that thing. Okay, so now we will be isolating the virus. The viral isolation can be actually received from the stool or throat. Okay, so viral isolation can be done. Viral isolation can be done from the stools or can be a stool or throat. Fine. Okay, mostly the diagnosis has been made clinically. Okay, now differentials are important because look, I told you that asymmetric weakness, remember I told you asymmetric weakness will be seen in the patients. Okay, asymmetric weakness will be seen and asymmetric hypotonia will be seen. Okay, so I wrote it. Okay, so over here I wrote the same thing. This is the asymmetric weakness, asymmetric hypotonia. Okay, so what I'm trying to say over here is that this is the asymmetric, remember. Look, symmetric weakness or symmetric hypotonia, which means both the legs can be involved in Guillain-Barré syndrome. Okay, so you need to actually understand that. So in the differential diagnosis part, I would like to mention over here that please remember about the Guillain-Barré syndrome, because in the Guillain-Barré syndrome what the patient will be coming with, that there you can see that symmetrical weakness may be present. Okay, so there symmetrical weakness may be present over there, symmetrical weakness. Okay, now finally let's talk about the treatment, the most important part of the discussion. Okay, so treatment is actually we are not having the specific drugs if you talk about the against the poliovirus, but yes, symptomatic treatment can be done obviously. So that's what we do actually, symptomatic treatment. So it depends on the symptoms of the patient, right? For an example, if the patient is having headache and all these things, you will be giving the painkillers and all. And for an example, hydration must be very very important. Okay, and mainly the main thing is prevention. So if the patient has been taken vaccines properly in the past, 90% are the chances or 95% are the chances that this patient will not be suffering from the poliovirus, and that's how poliovirus has been eradicated globally. Okay, except some of the developing countries. Okay, they are still suffering. So hydration is important in the patient symptomatic treatment. Whatever symptoms are patient with coming up with, you can give the drugs accordingly. Okay, and if the patient is having the problem with the respiratory tract, obviously respiratory support can be given to the patient. Okay, along with that I would say the hydration can be done, IV fluids and all, due to if the patient is having the dehydration and all, right, and electrolyte replacement. So that was about the poliovirus. Now let's talk about the MCQs. Okay, so look at this MCQ over here. 3-year-old girl. Okay, so look at the age. Presence of local hospital in rural Asia for sudden onset weakness of the lower extremities over the past 2 days. Parents report that it seems to affect the right leg more, this asymmetric weakness. She had not had any immunization, that's why. So prevention is by the vaccination. Due to the lack of access to the hospitals, on physical examination there is notable muscular atrophy of the right leg and absent reflexes on the right. So reflexes are weak on the left side. Sensation is normal bilaterally, which means sensory nervous system is intact actually. Okay, so what is the diagnosis? Yes, the diagnosis is quite easy, guys. So this will be what? This is the poliomyelitis case, right? This is the poliomyelitis. Fine. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, now let's talk about this MCQ. So a 6-year-old female, again this is a 6-year-old female from a rural village in Afghanistan, presents with a mother to a local health center complaining of leg weakness. Okay, now her mother also reports that the patient has fever, fatigue, headache. A week prior that was resolved. Actually the patient has not received an immunization. okay, since being born. That's why this patient has been actually exposed to get the poliovirus or the poliomyelitis. Now the vitals has been given. So physical examination reveals 1/5 strength in the right hip and knee actions, and 0/5 strength in the left hip and knee actions. Okay, tone is notably decreased in both the lower extremities. So this is the severe situation. Sensation to touch, temperature and vibration is actually intact. Okay, so that's why that is the sensory nervous system. So sensory nervous system is intact. Motor nervous system has been damaged, and mostly the lower motor neurons, right? Okay, so patellar and Achilles reflexes are absent bilaterally. Now which of the following conditions have been there? So diagnosis is simple. Diagnosis you have already in the mind, that is the poliomyelitis caused by the poliovirus. They're not asking you the diagnosis. They are mainly asking you that whether you know the structure, whether you know the property of this virus. So poliovirus is having which one? This was enveloped or non-enveloped? Yes, this was non-enveloped virus, and this was the positive sense RNA virus. Okay, so answer will be what? Answer will be non-enveloped positive sense RNA virus. Okay, so no problem in that. Now let's move on to the next one. This one they are talking about a 14-year-old female who is a recent 14-year-old male who is a recent immigrant from India visits your office complaining of difficulty walking. Now physical examination reveals that weakness upon the right leg extension and absent right patellar tendon reflex. So PCR has been done, and swab of the pharynx both yield viral RNA. So which of the following best describes the likely causal virus of this patient disease? So again, this the diagnosis is poliomyelitis. So that's how they ask you the questions about the polio, right? Poliovirus. And again, this is the non-enveloped. Okay, so I'm going to give options. Second and fifth options are given. So non-enveloped, it is positive or negative? Yes, it was positive stranded, right? So answer over here will be non-enveloped positive stranded icosahedral virus. Okay, so I hope guys you enjoyed the discussion of the polio virus or the poliomyelitis. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, make sure to subscribe my channel, and please share it with your friends. I will see you in my next one. Thank you so much.